business. And in 2003, I get a call from this Ackman guy. And I'm telling you, he's like the crybaby in the schoolyard. You know, I went to a tough school in Queens that they used to beat up the little Jewish boys. And he was like one of these little Jewish boys crying that the world was taking advantage of him. He's the quintessential example that on Wall Street, if you want a friend, get a dog.
This is not an honest guy, and this is not a guy who keeps his word, and this is a guy who takes advantage of little people.
Ackman is a liar, okay? To begin with, I've lived my life from 1960s and 70s by handshakes. I almost lost my firm a few times by handshakes. Ackman does pump and dump. He's got one of the worst reputations on Wall Street. He wanted to have dinner once with me. I had dinner with him, and I got to tell you, I left. I couldn't figure out if he was the most sanctimonious guy I ever met in my life or the most arrogant. And when it comes to friends, he called me and said, hey, I'd like, you know, if we were friends, we could make a lot of money investing together. And I knew that even if I wasn't a friend, I never would invest with this guy because I tell you, the guy takes inordinate risks. But then he talks about charity. That's complete. He's not giving it to charity. His limited partners aren't going to give it to charity, as assuming they don't need charity themselves.
Carl either has a very, very bad memory or he has trouble with the truth. Because we didn't make a verbal agreement on Hallwood, we made a written one. He's got very good lawyers, as he says. Just read the agreement. The agreement we put on the web, it's a 10-page agreement. Carl can say what he wants today about what he thought he said back then. But this was much more important to me than it was to Carl. And obviously, we read the agreement. Carl's a big boy. He signed the agreement. And then we had several courts conclude that we were right, and he held us up as long as he could. The big issue about Carl Icahn is he's not used to someone standing up to him. And particularly a little guy like me in 2003 who was in a difficult spot. He can try to scare my investors from investing with me, which it sounds like he's attempting to do on this call. We take prudent risks at Pershing Square. We're an unlevered fund. And we are very thoughtful in the way that we do our business. I'm going to end I told Carl after the whole thing called me up, and he literally said, Bill, we can be friends now. Okay, I wish I had a recording of the conversation. I simply said to him, I said, look, Carl, you are no friend of mine. And that was it. And every time, so he goes on TV, he wants to slander me, I'm going to defend myself.
I never said that I want to be friends with you, Bill. I wouldn't be friends with
Carl.
you. And you said to me you'd like to be friends so that we could invest together.
Carl, I have no interest. Do you think I want to invest with you? Okay, let's move on.
I would invest with you.
Let's
move
on.
The last man on earth.
Let's move on.
Carl, let me just ask you though. I mean, the crux of the argument doesn't really go back, or doesn't so much focus on 10 years ago, or maybe it does. It focuses on the most recent history, and that is Bill Ackman's short play on Herbalife. You criticize him quite heavily for the way in which he went public with the short. Would you be willing to admit that in the past, I mean, look, you've got sharp elbows as well. You've got weight to throw around, too. That's the way of the short world, isn't it, Carl?
Hey, listen, if I'm going to admit it, that I own stock, I'm not going to admit it with a guy like you on the TV because I don't think you've been handling this fairly. I think you're trying to attack me and bully me into admitting something. And so you expect me to do it on your show?
No, I'm not.
I'd like to ask you a question. If you think you're going to bully me into doing it, you seem like a nice enough guy. I don't think I've ever been on a show with you, but I don't think I take the bullying. So do you think that you're giving me all this? Hey, Max Meyer said I could say what I wanted on the show, so I'm saying it.
All right.
Hey,
we'll send Max the bill.
You admitted on your show after you try bullying me and coming up against me, do you?
All right. Well, let me.
I'm known. Hey, look.
No, wait, Carl. Let me just say first. Wait, let me say, Carl.
I don't like being bullied. But
I am not.
I believe
Nobody here is bullying you. First and foremost. Second of all, I simply asked you. Let me finish, please. I simply asked you.
I about the goddamn deal 10 years ago. Why the heck are you getting involved in it? This is the typical Ackman. I wouldn't care if it was anybody else but Ackman. But he goes in this room, and he gets 300 people, and he tells them how bad this company is. It's the classic stuff they did in the 90s. You scare the hell out of people, get the stock down. He marks the stock on December 31st and makes $600 million on paper and tells the world how great he is. He's given to charity and shows the world he's made 12%, which isn't so great anyway. I'd like to say we made 28% last year without going and having to go pump and dump stocks and having to go and have rooms full of people. And if there's ever a short squeeze, which well might be in Herbalife, what the hell does he do? I'd like him to answer, where does he get the stock when they call back all the stock? Let's say there's a tender offer for Herbalife, and they call back the stock. And if you know Wall Street, when there's a tender offer, everybody calls back the stock you borrowed. And if they ever does, if that stock would rush to 100, what the hell does Ackman do? I'd ask him. He's on the phone. He's right here on the phone.
I'm happy to answer if I get a chance to speak.
If there's a short squeeze.
Okay, a couple of interesting things. Number one.
And Bill, let me just say quick. We have to be quick because we're at the end of our road here, okay?
Okay, so number one, Carl's free to make a tender offer for the company. Carl, you want to bid for the company? Go ahead and bid for the company.
Hey, you don't have to tell me what I'm free to do.
Okay, well,
maybe you don't.
That's number one. Number two, obviously, we don't think there's going to be a tender offer for the company. We don't think this company is viable. Okay, we don't think any person is going to write a check for $5 or $6 billion to buy a business that we believe is fraudulent. What I thank Carl for is he certainly helped highlight Herbalife and the issues at Herbalife. And my guess is that Carl bought Herbalife if he did, because that's what someone at his shop leaked to the press, and he flipped it out when the stock went up, and he made a good trade. Congratulations on a good trade. I don't believe there's any real investor who can own this business long term, because we believe it's a pyramid scheme. We believe you can prove that to a high degree of certainty.
Right.
Hey, I appreciate, Bill, that you called me a great investor. I thank you for that. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for you. But I'd like to ask you, congratulations on one good trade. I sort of missed that.
Guys, we're gonna end it there. Bill, I so much appreciate you coming on today. Carl, I hope you'll come back. That's all I can say. It was a good conversation, and it wasn't anybody's.
I hear that. I didn't hear you tell me that you appreciated me coming on.
Well, I think it was obviously meant there when I said I hope you'll come back, right? I mean,
all right.
All right, thanks very much. I appreciate it, and have a good day.
Okay. All right. Phil Ackman, Carl Icahn.